Hey everybody, now, I realize that says closure there, right? So that tells you that we're near the end of the chapter, aren't we? Right? And that it will be the homework for Friday. Okay. What we're doing though is a review and preview for the last section of the book, which is 5.3.4. Okay. And the trickiest thing about this is they introduce the area of a trapezoid. Okay. So the area of a trapezoid gets introduced here. We will have one problem on that. And I'll go into a little bit how to do it. Okay. Just to let you know, if you can make it into a rectangle, that's the key, right? That's the key. And you know how to get the area of a rectangle. And because of that, you have learned how to get the area of uh, parallelograms and triangles, right? Okay, so these first ones, first off, you got to know Coco Crisp is. Okay, Coco Crisp, one of my favorite baseball players ever. He was on the Oakland A's, and he was just a great guy, always smiling. You know how I'm always smiling, so I really like the guy. Plus, he did some fun things. Made the fans like him a lot. Anyway, that's Coco Crisp. Make sure you include all of the things required in the perfect heading: the first and last name, the date, the assignment you're doing. Here we're doing the 5.3.4, your teacher's name and period, and the problem numbers. Okay. I forgot one of those things on yesterday's homework, so good to see some people found that. Actually, on Tuesday's homework, not yesterday's. Yeah, I forgot to put the teacher name. I lost a point on that one. Don't you do that, okay? Easiest 3 points is what we call it. All right, here we go. 5.101. We need to find the area of that parallelogram. And they didn't do anything to confuse you on this because they could have given you the length of this line too for the parallelogram. And then you have all these three lines and people get confused. They only gave you the two things you need. Remember, the area of a parallelogram is, okay, and I like to put a box around it that's shaped like the thing I'm showing you the formula for. It's just the base times the height. Whoops, base times the height. And again, the base is how wide it is. The height is how tall it is. It's not one of those slanted lines. It's straight up and down. Okay, so all I'm doing here is the area of this is 5 times 4. I'm going to let you tell me what 5 inches times 4 inches is. Okay, that's just too easy. Now, here's where we get to learn that there's two ways there's lots of ways to teach this. There's two ways I like to show the kids. You know how to get a rectangle. Okay, if I did the top times the height, well, really, that's like this rectangle, right? It's 6 wide and 8 tall. Well, that's not including this or this, huh? So if I did the top times the height, it's not big enough. It's too small. Okay. And by the way, I call this the Goldilocks way of learning how to get the area of a trapezoid. Okay, the Goldilocks way, because that's too small. You know the story of Goldilocks. Now, if I did the bottom times the height, then it's like doing this giant rectangle, which includes all of this and all this. Well, that's too big, right? Goldilocks said, "Oh, this chair's too small. This chair's too big. We want what is just right, something in the middle." What's in the middle of 6 and 14? The average of 6 and 14. What is right in the middle of 6 and 14? If I have 6 here and 14 here, right in the middle, well, let me see, that's 8 apart. So if I go 4, 10 is right in the middle. You don't know how to do the number line every time. You can always just add those two numbers, what's 6 plus 14, and divide it by 2. So 6 plus 14 is 20. 20 divided by 2 is 10. That's in the middle. So what I tell kids to do the top plus the bottom, divide it by 2, and then multiply that times the height. Okay? And that's what they will give you for the formula, but they won't call it the top and the bottom. They want to confuse you even more. So I'm going to show you I'm going to write it on a piece of scratch paper over here. Okay? They will give you the formula and they will call the top and the bottom base 1 and base 2. B1, B2. And kids look at this and say, oh my goodness, I'm in the wrong class. I accidentally stepped into a high school class. That's too hard, right? Yeah. So don't get confused. I always call it the top and the bottom. Okay. Now, another way of looking at this, though, you have this parallel, or not the parallel, you have this trapezoid, right? If I were to clone that trapezoid and turn it upside down, okay, it would fit right here. And what shape did I just make? A parallelogram. What's the area of a parallelogram? How wide is it times how tall is it? Well, how tall is it? Well, this is the top, this is the bottom, so this is the top, this is the bottom. So I have to go the top plus the bottom and multiply it by the height to get the area of that. But again, that is two of these things. I only need one, so divide it by 2. It's another way of thinking of that formula. All right. Okay, we will have plenty of time to practice this before I test. I promise you we won't ask you any area of trapezoids on the test on chapter 5. But on chapter 6 or 7, I can't promise you that. So we're going to have to learn it. Okay, so what are we doing? We're doing the top plus the bottom, 6 plus 14. And we're going to divide that by 2 and times it by the height, which is 8. Okay, I'm going to let you try that. All right, these are too easy. I owe 3 plus I have 7. I'm going to pay the 3. I'm going to have a positive, something left over. You go figure out what it is. I have 7 plus I owe 8. I'm going to pay all 7 I have. I'm still going to owe something, huh? Okay. Now, on C, here's what I want you to do on C. Negative 6 and 4 ninths plus 9 and 7 ninths. What I want you to do is to make sure you've done the warm-up. Go look at your answer to the warm-up because that problem's in the warm-up, okay? So I'll go over it again in the answer video tomorrow, but you're going to figure out by just looking at your warm-up sheet because you have integrity. You did the warm-up, right? Right? Okay, go check it out. All right, let's go to that next problem. All right, so the next problem, I flip that page, right? You're going to do those. And again, that one's on the warm-up. And I've got to tell you something else, as far as warm-up problems and stuff, you might recognize some other problems on the warm-up, like maybe these. Yeah, did we do those? Yes, we did. We did those in today's warm-up as well. Look at that. 56.7 minus 2300, 7.8 times 3. Yeah, so check these out in the warm-up, okay? I'm not going to do them all for you because I know you know how. Now, at 5-103, what are we doing there? Portions webs. Portions webs. Portions webs. Just like yesterday's warm-up, right? 3 of those 4 are done on yesterday's warm-up. Okay, which one's not? It looks like the easiest one in the bunch, right? So what do we have here? We have 2300ths, 0.23. Okay, and then we have 7/10. Okay, and that's the one I'm going to do for you today because the other one you're going to go look at yesterday's warm-up. And then you're going to find out what 19% is as a decimal and a fraction. And then you're going to find out what 17/25 looks like as a decimal and a percent. Okay, so this is the one that wasn't done on yesterday's warm-up. So real quick, what does 7/10 look like? Well, if you had your eyes closed and I said 7/10, you wouldn't know if I said 7/10 or 7/10. You say these two things the same, right? So both of those. Now, to change a decimal to a percent, I move it over 2 spots. Okay, 2 spots if I'm going that way, boom, boom, that ends up being 70%. 2 spots going this way, boom, that ends up being 0.7, right? So 19%, 2 spots, 0.19, 2300, 2 spots, 23%. Oh, I told you I wasn't going to do that. Giving you answers without making you go look at your warm-up answers. Okay, now these are important. I want you to see these problems here. It says checkpoint problems. See that big check there? And you have to know that if you look in the back of the book, those checkpoint problems are done for you. Okay, they show you how to do it, and then they give you the answers. Okay, so if you can't find your warm-up paper, whenever you have a checkpoint problem, you see that, know that those answers are in the back of the book for you. Not so you can cheat, so you can get help if you need it, because you started your homework late and it's already after your teacher's office hours, right? Okay, 5-104, got those number lines, right? On this first one, we have N, N, N. And 15, right? And the second one, we have 17, and then we have an X, X, and a 10. And on this one, we have 5, 5, 5, and 2X. Now, all we have to do is write an algebraic expression. Okay, that's not an equation. An equation has an equal sign. All we're doing is writing an expression for how long that line is. What does that mean? How long is this line? Well, that's n, that's n, that's n, and that's 15. So it's n plus n plus n plus 15. Now, there is a way of combining the n plus n plus n into something that's simpler. So you're going to simplify that. Okay, just like 17 plus x plus 10, you're going to combine the 10 and 17, and you're going to rewrite x plus x as 2 times x. Okay, all right, that's all you're doing on those. I think you know how, so I'm not going to do them all for you. I'm going to have you see if you can finish that. I am going to fix x because that was, yeah, even now it looks a little ugly. But it definitely was not legible. Now, 5-105, we have these 4 problems. The first one is the one I didn't do for you in the warm-up. Do for you. I did it so you could check your answer. You did it on the warm-up, right? Now, on this one, 56.7 minus 0.23. I did that for you. And on this one, 7.8 in parentheses next to 0.03 in parentheses. What does that mean? I'm multiplying. Put a big time sign there so you remember. And on this one, 6.3 minus 7.5. How do you do that? How do I subtract a bigger number? Well, your answer is going to be negative. I did that in the warm-up, and I apologize. I'm writing over here, and you can't see what I'm writing, can you? Sorry about that. Okay. This sort of got moved, didn't it? Okay, so what are we doing here? I told you I would do this one. Okay, now when you are adding decimals, you need to stack them and line up the decimal. The 66.003 or 3 thousandths is the biggest. I'm going to write that first. I don't have to. 1 2/10. I put the decimal down first, and then I put the rest of the number. I'm adding all 3 of these, right? Okay, so these come out to the thousandths place. This one only comes out to the tenths. What do? Well, fill in zeros. 2 tenths is the same as 20 hundredths. It's the same as 200 thousandths. I can add zeros. Decimal comes straight down. 3 and 5 is 8. 4 and 0 is 4. 0, 2 and 0 is 2. 2 and 1 is 0 is 3. 63.248 is my answer. You're going to do the other 3. You could check your work if you want to the warm-ups for the last couple of days. Okay. All right. Good luck on this, everybody. Again, if something's throwing you off, if something is totally confusing, you don't know how to do it, you want to start asking. Okay. A test is coming soon. Ask your teacher for help on anything you're confused on. Definitely check your answers with the video that comes out tomorrow. Okay. All right. Have a good one, everybody.